Most people don't fail because they are weak. They fail because they lie to themselves every single day. They rename fear as patience. They rename comfort as strategy. They rename avoidance as peace. Centuries ago, Niccolò Machiavelli warned about this kind of self-deception. The most dangerous lie is not the one told by enemies. It is the one you quietly tell yourself when no one is watching. It is the excuse you repeat so many times that it starts to feel like truth. It is the story you create so you can sleep at night while your goals slowly fade in the dark. In this video, I'm going to break down 8 tough Machiavellian principles that expose self-deception and explain why brutal self-honesty is the real foundation of power, clarity, and control. This is not soft motivation. This is psychological warfare against your own weakness. This is about standing in front of the mirror and telling yourself the truth, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because the pain of truth is temporary, but the cost of lying to yourself is permanent. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Machiavelli believed that self-deception is the first step toward defeat, and why the most powerful move you can make is to stop protecting yourself from reality. Now I want you to write this affirmation in the comments. I choose truth. Let's begin. Number 1. Comfort is often a hidden lie. Here's a common lie people tell themselves every day: I'm waiting for the right time. Let me translate that. What they often mean is, I'm avoiding discomfort. They are not being strategic, they are afraid, they are not patient, they are stuck. And they dress it up in smart words that sound wise and reasonable. But it's not wisdom, it's weakness covered in excuses. Machiavelli understood this clearly. Power supports those who act, not those who delay. Action builds momentum, delay slowly destroys it. And comfort is the drug that keeps you frozen. It whispers, stay where you are, it's safe here. Don't risk it, don't push, don't try. And you listen. Because comfort feels good, it feels warm, it feels easy. But here's what comfort really does. It makes you predictable, and predictability destroys power. When you are comfortable, you are not growing, you are not adjusting, you are not sharpening your skills or testing your limits. You are just existing. You go through the motions, you play it safe. You hope things will improve without you having to step into risk. And that is exactly where others want you. Your competitors want you comfortable, because comfortable people don't compete with intensity. Your enemies want you comfortable, because comfortable people don't fight back. Even your own mind wants you comfortable, because discomfort requires energy, focus, and courage. Comfort requires nothing. That is the trap. Comfort lies to you. It tells you that you are fine, that everything is okay, that there is no urgency. But while you sit in comfort, the world keeps moving. Opportunities pass. Time keeps running. Other people take the risks you are avoiding. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day you will wake up and realize that comfort did not protect you. It limited you. It quietly locked you in place. So ask yourself honestly, what am I calling waiting for the right time that is really just fear? What am I calling being smart that is really just playing small? What am I calling strategy that is really just delaying action? If you are brutally honest, you will see the truth. Comfort has been whispering soft lies in your ear while your potential slowly dies from boredom. And once you see that lie clearly, you can break it, not by waiting, but by acting. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose discomfort. Number 2. Self-deception is the first form of weakness. Here is something most people do not want to hear. Lying to yourself feels safe. It feels comfortable. It feels like protection, but in reality, it slowly destroys your edge. Every time you lie to yourself, you lose a small piece of your power. You choose ignorance instead of awareness. You choose fantasy instead of reality. And that small choice becomes a crack in your foundation. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this deeply. He studied rulers, leaders, and conquerors. And what he saw was clear: they did not fall only because of enemies. They fell because they misjudged themselves. They believed their own hype. They ignored their weaknesses. They convinced themselves they were untouchable, right until the moment they lost everything. Here is the hard truth. If you cannot see your own flaws clearly, someone else will use them against you. Your blind spots become their weapons. Your denial becomes their opportunity. Your self-deception becomes their strategy. Think about it. When you lie to yourself about your abilities, you stop preparing seriously. When you lie to yourself about your habits, you stop improving them. When you lie to yourself about your situation, you stop fighting to change it. Instead, you accept it. You justify it. You make peace with average results. And that is where weakness truly begins. Not in your circumstances, not in your resources, not in your background. It begins the moment you stop telling yourself the truth. It begins with your willingness to look away from the truth. The moment you start lying to yourself is the moment you slowly give control of your life to forces you cannot even see. Because now you are not dealing with reality, you are dealing with a fake version of yourself. And you cannot win a war against something that is not real. You cannot defeat a ghost. So here is the principle. Self-deception is the enemy. It is not your friend. It is not protecting your feelings. It is slowly poisoning your strength. And the only cure is brutal honesty. Look at yourself. Really look. Name what you see, not what you wish was there, not what you hope to become one day, not the version you show on social media. Look at what is real right now. Your real habits, your real discipline, your real focus, your real level of commitment. That is where power begins. Not in pretending, not in dreaming, in truth. Write this affirmation in the comments. I see myself clearly. Number 3. Excuses are stories created by a weak mind. How many excuses did you make this week? How many times did you explain why you did not act instead of simply acting? How many times did you tell yourself a story about why it was not your fault? Here is a hard truth. Every excuse you accept becomes permission to fail. Every time you choose to explain instead of improve, you give away authority over your own life. You hand control to circumstances, to other people, to bad timing, to luck. You turn yourself into a victim of your own story. Niccolò Machiavelli had no respect for that mindset. He understood that excuses are mental shields people use to avoid responsibility. And responsibility feels heavy. It is uncomfortable. It forces you to admit that if something is wrong, you must fix it. But excuses are light. They are easy. They remove pressure. I didn't have that time. I didn't have the resources. I didn't have support. I didn't know how. Maybe those things are true, but they are also irrelevant. The real question is not whether obstacles exist. Of course they do. Obstacles always exist. The real question is, will you let those obstacles define you, or will you find a way around them? Excuses are just stories, and stories can be rewritten. Instead of saying, I didn't have time, say, I didn't make it a priority. Instead of saying, I didn't have the resources, say, I wasn't creative enough. Instead of saying, I didn't have support, say, I didn't build strong enough relationships. Do you see the difference? One version makes you powerless. The other version gives you control. One version keeps you stuck. The other version shows you a path forward. And here is the dangerous part about excuses. They grow. The more you use them, the easier they become. The easier they become, the more you rely on them. And slowly, without realizing it, excuses stop being rare. They become your normal way of thinking. That is how weakness builds. Not in one big failure, but in small, repeated justifications that slowly lower your standards. The easier excuses become, the more often you use them. And slowly, without noticing, your whole life turns into a long list of reasons why things did not work out. That is not a life. That is a speech about what could have been. So stop. Stop explaining everything. Stop justifying your inaction. Stop defending your limits. Start owning them. Say, I chose not to, instead of, I couldn't. Say, I didn't make it a priority, instead of, I didn't have time. Say, I was afraid, instead of, it wasn't the right moment. Because honesty, even painful honesty, gives you power. Excuses take that power away. Write this affirmation in the comments, I own my choices. Number 4, if you cannot face reality, you cannot control it. Power starts with one simple thing. Seeing the world as it truly is, not as you wish it was. This is where most people fail. They want reality to match their hopes. They want life to be fair, kind and rewarding just because they have good intentions. And when life does not work that way, they feel betrayed. But Niccolò Machiavelli did not care about what was fair. He cared about what worked, and what works is clarity. Cold, hard, honest clarity. Self-deception distorts reality. It puts a filter over your eyes. It makes you see what you want to see instead of what is actually there. And when your view of reality is distorted, your decisions become dangerous. You hire the wrong people because you believed in their potential instead of their history. You stay in the wrong relationship because you focus on a few good moments instead of the overall pattern. You continue with the wrong strategy because you invested too much to admit it is failing. All of that comes from one source: refusing to face reality. And here is what most people never say out loud. Clarity can feel cruel. It does not protect your feelings. It does not care about your ego. It simply shows you the truth. And the truth can hurt. It can show you that you are not as skilled as you thought. It can show you that your plan is not working. It can show you that people do not respect you the way you assumed. That pain is real. But you know what hurts more? Living in a fantasy while the real world keeps moving without you. Making decisions based on hope instead of facts, and then watching everything fall apart, and still refusing to admit why. So be strict with yourself, not in a destructive way, but in a clear way. Ask yourself hard questions. Is this truly working, or am I just hoping it will? Am I respected here, or simply tolerated? Am I growing, or am I stuck? Am I building something real, or just dreaming? Do not answer with what you wish was true. Answer with what is true. And if the truth is ugly, do not run from it. Use it. Let it guide your next step. Let it shape your strategy. Let it show you where to adjust. Because you cannot control reality until you see it clearly, fully, honestly, without illusion. That is where real power exists. Not in hope, in awareness. Number 5, your emotions are not truth. This may hurt a little. Feeling good does not mean you are right. Feeling calm does not mean you are strong. Feeling confident does not mean you are prepared. Emotions lie all the time. They tell stories. They twist your perception. They turn small problems into huge disasters and serious dangers into small concerns. And if you let emotions guide every decision, you will eventually lose control. Niccolò Machiavelli warned against trusting emotions more than strategy. Why? Because emotions are reactive. They are short-term. They respond to the moment, not to the long-term outcome. Emotions are based on how things feel in the moment, not on how things truly are. You feel angry, so you burn a bridge. You feel excited, so you make a promise you cannot keep. You feel scared, so you quit before you even begin. In that moment, the decision feels right. It feels justified. But 6 months later, you look back and realize it was a mistake. Why? Because emotion protects the ego. It makes you feel powerful for a second. It makes you feel like you are taking action. But truth does something different. Truth strengthens your position. Truth is cold. It does not care about your feelings. It cares about results. And what truly works is this: separating emotion from decision. That does not mean ignoring your emotions. You are human, not a machine. Emotions carry information. Fear tells you there is risk. Anger tells you a boundary was crossed. Excitement tells you there is opportunity. But information is not instruction. Just because you feel something does not mean you must act on it. You must filter emotions through logic, through strategy, through long-term thinking. Ask yourself, is this emotion giving me useful insight, or is it clouding my judgment? If I act on this feeling, will I regret it tomorrow? What would the calm, strategic version of me do in this situation? The version of you driven only by emotion is reactive, easy to control, easy to provoke. But the version of you who feels emotions and still chooses carefully, that version is powerful. That version cannot be manipulated, cannot be baited, cannot be thrown off balance. That is the version Niccolò Machiavelli would respect. Not the one who feels right, but the one who acts right. Number 6. People respect those who are honest with themselves. Most people do not realize this, but others can sense self-deception. They may not explain it clearly, but they feel it. It shows in your energy. It appears in your tone. It leaks through your posture and your decisions. Insecurity always leaks. When you are lying to yourself, you over-explain. You try too hard, you keep defending your choices. You constantly try to prove that everything is fine. And people notice. They may not know exactly what is wrong, but they sense weakness. But when you are brutally honest with yourself, something changes. You stop trying to prove. You stop over-defending. You stop performing. You simply are. And that creates alignment. When your thoughts, words, and actions all match, people feel it. They sense the stability, the quiet confidence, the strength that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for. That is not arrogance, that is alignment. Alignment creates silent authority. You do not need to demand respect. You do not need to dominate conversations. You do not need to announce your strength. People recognize it because there is no gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. No mask, no fake version, just truth. And truth is magnetic. It builds trust. It attracts people. It makes others want to follow you, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. You are not hiding your flaws. You are not selling a fantasy. You are showing your real self, strengths and weaknesses, without apology. That takes courage, real courage, and it gives you something rare, genuine influence. Not manipulation, not shallow charisma, not games. Real influence built on alignment. Aligned people are rare, and rare people are powerful. So stop trying to project an image. Stop trying to convince people you are something you are not. Be honest with yourself first. Respect will follow naturally. Number 7. Lying to yourself makes you easy to control. A person who does not understand his real motives can be manipulated. A person who hides from his weaknesses will be ruled by them. When you lie to yourself, you create blind spots. And those blind spots become leverage points for anyone who wants to control you. Think about it. If you refuse to admit that you crave validation, people will control you with praise. If you refuse to admit that you fear rejection, people will control you with the threat of exclusion. If you refuse to admit that you are insecure about your skills, people will control you by questioning your ability. All of this works for one reason. You have not faced those truths yourself. You buried them. You denied them. You acted like they were not there. But anything buried still has power over you. The moment you bring it into the light and say, "Yes, this is true about me," it begins to lose its power. You cannot be manipulated with something you have already accepted. You cannot be controlled by a weakness you have already owned. That is what self-knowledge gives you. Freedom. Not freedom from people, but freedom from their ability to pull your strings. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this clearly. He saw that rulers who did not understand themselves were easy to defeat, praise their ego, and they made foolish decisions, attack their pride, and they reacted emotionally, trigger their fears, and they froze. All of that happened because they lacked self-awareness. But a ruler who knows his strengths, his weaknesses, his triggers, and his blind spots cannot be played so easily. He sees the strategy. He recognizes manipulation. He stays steady. The same applies to you. When you are honest about what drives you, what scares you, what you secretly want, and what you avoid, you become difficult to control. Not because you are flawless, but because you are aware. And awareness is armor. So stop running from the parts of yourself you dislike. Stop pretending they do not exist. Face them, name them, own them. The moment you do, they stop being weapons others can use against you. They become tools you can use to grow. Write this affirmation in the comments. I know myself. Number 8. Truth is painful, but power is built on pain. Facing your limits hurts. Admitting fear stings. Taking responsibility burns. Truth is not soft. It does not protect your ego. It does not comfort you. It cuts. But here is what Niccolò Machiavelli understood. Short-term pain prevents long-term destruction. The pain of truth is sharp but temporary. It feels uncomfortable. It challenges you, but it fades. What does not fade are the consequences of avoiding truth, the slow loss of your potential, the quiet death of your dreams, the heavy weight of regret. That pain grows over time. It builds year after year until one day you realize you created a life based on lies you told yourself. And by then, fixing it becomes much harder. So you have a choice. You can accept the sharp, clean pain of truth now, or you can accept the slow, endless pain of regret later. One demands courage for a moment, the other demands surrender for a lifetime. Machiavelli chose truth, not because he enjoyed pain, but because he understood that power is built on hard realities. Every strong foundation is built on honest evaluation. Every real success begins with clear assessment. Every true transformation starts with the words, "This is not working," and the decision to change. Yes, that hurts, but it is productive pain. It makes you sharper, stronger, clearer. Truth cuts, but it also sharpens. It removes illusions. It strips away fantasies, and what remains is the real you, not the version you wish you were. Not the version you perform for others, the version that actually exists. And that version, raw and honest, is the only one capable of building something lasting. So accept the discomfort. Do not run from it. Let truth remove everything false and stand firm in what remains. If you want power, stop lying to yourself. If you want control, stop protecting your ego. If you want strength, choose truth over comfort every single time. The moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment you stop being quietly weak. It is the moment you take back control of your life, your choices, and your future. Niccolò Machiavelli did not write about kindness, hope, or positive thinking. He wrote about reality. He wrote about what works. He wrote about what separates those who win from those who lose. And that difference is not talent. It is not luck. It is not background or circumstances. It is honesty. Winners look at themselves without fear. They see their flaws clearly. They admit their fears openly. They accept their mistakes fully. And then they act. They adjust. They improve. Losers do the opposite. They keep lying to themselves. They keep building excuses. They keep saying, "one day," and waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. So the question is simple. Who are you going to be? Are you going to keep whispering comfortable lies to protect your ego, or are you going to face the hard truths that actually set you free? Because understand this clearly. The truth may hurt you for a moment, but a lie will slowly destroy you over years. Truth creates clarity. Clarity creates power. Power creates control. The choice is yours. And if this message hit you the way it was meant to, press the like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel because we are only getting started. There is much more truth coming. If you are ready for it, I will see you in the next one. Stay sharp.